Good afternoon, I'm Milton Walker with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can watch TVJ Live by downloading our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's #1, followed by the word Spot Media. The Ministry of National Security says all systems are now in place with 2 days to go before the start of the traffic ticket amnesty. The amnesty will allow motorists to pay outstanding traffic tickets without attracting demerit points, giving them the opportunity to begin with a clean slate when the new Road Traffic Act is implemented. Junior Security Minister Pernell Charles Jr. told our news centre that consultations have been held with the Chief Justice and officials of the Traffic Court. They discussed the special procedures for the amnesty.
The GACF Traffic Division is fully briefed and they are ready to mobilize in all 14 parishes. The TAJ offices and the systems are configured to accept payments through their portal, and they are ready to give assistance to all of our citizens on location wherever there are challenges that arise. The payments will also be accepted online. Some of the offices will be designated for Saturday openings, and this will be communicated via the media as well, which specific offices.
And Senator Charles says call centres have been established for motorists who need to ascertain the number of outstanding traffic tickets that they have.
Well, for persons who need to get the specific information on the number of tickets, etc., the call centre is the primary base that they can contact to be able to receive all of that information. And the information specific to the call centre numbers will soon be released via the media. The GACF Traffic Division is fully briefed and they are ready to mobilize in all 14 parishes. The TAJ offices and the systems are configured to accept payments through their portal, and they are ready to give assistance to all of our citizens on location wherever there are challenges that arise. The payments will also be accepted online. Some of the offices will be designated for Saturday openings, and this will be communicated via the media as well, which specific offices.
The new Appleston Estate Rum Tour will offer new features at the St. Elizabeth attraction come November. During a tour of the tourist attraction recently, Agriculture Minister Carson Muda applauded the experience for its contribution to tourism.
This is tremendous because what you're going to see here is a lot of spin-offs. This is a creative idea. I mean, this is a kind of idea that really is not, its estate is not just to make sugar and make rum and sell it, or to mill sugar and sell it. This is a holistic, comprehensive approach to development in the area and to help the country to earn badly needed foreign exchange. So this as a tourism product is a winner, no question.
Chairman of the J. Ray and Nephew Limited, Clement Jimmy Lawrence, spoke about some of the developments to be implemented when the attraction reopens.
World's premium rums, the Appleton Estate rum range. And these will be presented to visitors where they will have the opportunity to see the process, to experience it, to touch, to taste, to smell, and most importantly, to understand that they can develop their own preferences. And this is what we're doing. The result of all of this is exposing a Jamaican origin brand to the world.
And the Tourism Ministry will spend millions of dollars to upgrade the town of Montego Bay in St. James ahead of a November 27 tourism conference. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett made that declaration at a forum in the parish recently. Mr. Bartlett says the ministry has partnered with the private sector to conduct different projects between July and November. These include a dump-up beach experience valued at over $500 million, road restoration work, and upgrading of the Hip Street and Convention Center, all in Montego Bay.
Our Convention Center, which is the largest and most significant location for gatherings and meetings and exhibitions in the English-speaking Caribbean, is onto a new lease on life. We continue to work with the traffic management arrangements and the parish council of the city of Montego Bay, and that we have put in place a program with them to spend $60 million between now and November to significantly improve the streetscaping within Montego Bay and the roundabouts and to make it fit for purpose.
Mr. Bartlett says the convention is expected to host hundreds of visitors and increase revenue for the parish. Safety and security in schools should be improved thanks to the strengthened Cadet Corps program in the schools. The cadets will be given more responsibility, including helping to reduce violence on school compounds. More in this report.
Following extensive training over the course of a month at Monroe College in St. Elizabeth, 600 young men and women will become the next line of defense in safety and security in schools and disaster response management. Director of Safety and Security in Schools, Assistant Superintendent Coleridge Minto, says the ministry is well invested in the strengthening of the cadet program and sees the benefits for schools across Jamaica. He is calling for former cadets and uniform adults to volunteer time to building the program.
And so I really want to make this appeal to other, especially adults, to volunteer their time to support uniform groups. We are in fact in need of adult officers in the Jamaica Combined Cadet Force and other uniform groups. And so we're persons who are of fit and proper character. We're asking them to apply to the JCCF headquarters for proper checks and balance so that we can approve some of them and help them to mentor some of our young people.
With the addition of 12 new cadet corps and the help of $3 million from the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, ASP Minto believes the plan will be ready for implementation in the new school year.
In terms of safety and security, we are rolling out a number of programs to support the uniform groups and our schools. As of September, we are supported by USAID, who our minister signed an agreement of $3 million that will be going towards the expansion and support of safety and security in our schools. No doubt uniform group being a major priority of the ministry and safety and security will benefit from some of the funding. And so we're looking forward to great things in September.
Gillian Pearson, TVJ News.
The 17-year-old boy who was stabbed and killed at the Porus High School earlier last month has been laid to rest. The funeral service for Ronaldo Dixon was held yesterday at the Porus Community Centre. Ronaldo was killed during an altercation at Porus High with another schoolmate. Former Principal and Member of Parliament for South Manchester, Michael Stewart, is asking the Ministry of Education to revisit some policies to ensure safety and security in schools.
Ministry of Education to revisit its Safe Schools policy and to ensure that metal detectors are established or placed in the entrance and exit points of our schools. And so if we have the metal detectors being placed at the exit and entrance point, they would be able to just walk in underneath it. We can pick up the sound of whatever metal that they have, whether it's knives, scissors, or any other implement that will cause damage.
Mr. Stewart is recommending that the ministry revisit the policy relating to the timeout facility, which will allow students who are antisocial to adjust their behaviour. He's also suggesting that resource officers who are placed in schools work closely with the school's deans of discipline.
No longer can we have the resource officers come into the school when there is an emergency. They should be there, placed at the school. They should assist the dean of disciplines, the principals and other administrators as it relates to establishing uniform groups in the respective schools and to ensure that these groups function properly.
He is also urging parents to play their role as it relates to imparting values to their children, as a school alone can't do it. This, he says, will help prevent the repeat of similar incidents in schools. The Westmoreland police have taken a man into custody following the death of 19-year-old Aaron Weatherburn, who was shot and killed on Thursday outside the gates of the Savlamar Hospital. It's reported that a group of men were drinking in a community called Jungle when two men walked up and started shooting. The police were called to the scene. On arrival, one man was seen suffering from gunshot wounds. He was rushed to hospital where he was admitted in serious condition. However, when Mr. Weatherburn heard about the shooting of one of his friends, he rushed to the hospital to see what was happening. But before he could enter the hospital, he was shot dead at the gate. The Westmoreland police are continuing their investigations. The mother of the deceased is shaken by his death.
I don't know what's happened, but God knows everything best. They take him away from me. but God understands why.
How the death of him left you at this time?
Well, to be truthful, I feel like I am dying slowly.
Meanwhile, his father, David Weatherburn, is also deeply saddened by the loss. He said he enjoyed seeing the personal progress of his son and know it would be difficult to cope.
I feel out there, you know, keep me sad out. I mean, nobody else go to like no pick me, you know. I mean, can't want people pick me, you know. I feel me them, you know, the funny day, them, there with them, I tell them big. I man can't, well, the next man, you would. I feel me personally, would.
In a bid to restore law and order, a curfew has been imposed in a section of Fraser's content in Spanish Town, St. Catherine. It began yesterday and will remain in effect until 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. The police said in a statement that the area has caused a major strain on the deployment of police and military personnel. The boundaries of the curfew are north along a dirt track from the intersection of Brevet Road to Salke Avenue, east along Salke Avenue to Fraser's Boulevard, south along Fraser's Boulevard from the Salke Avenue to Brevet Road, and west along Brevet Road from Fraser's Boulevard. There are still concerns about the proposed conjugal visits in correctional facilities, recently announced by Security Minister Robert Montague. Attorney at Law Ian Wilkinson believes the plan could work, but is concerned about whether it would include sex workers and same-sex visits. Mr. Wilkinson was a guest on RJR's weekly review program, That's a Wrap. More in this report from TVJ's Kalisha Williams.
Since Security Minister Robert Montague announced that the ministry is planning to allow conjugal visits in prisons, there has been a strong public outcry. The minister later reassured the public that consultations would be made with various groups at correctional facilities before allowing such visits. Now, there are more concerns.
Females who will be allowed conjugal visits, what if those females become pregnant after such visits, if that is allowed? The minister says not everyone will be allowed. We have to wait the full report from the ministry. How will it be structured? Who will be entitled? Will there be a review board or some authority set up to determine who will be entitled to these visits? Who will determine this? Will you allow prostitutes? Will you allow prostitutes in? Will people who are admittedly gay persons in prisons be allowed? Gay visitors and so on, or homosexual visitors? If I might use that term, which is more socially appropriate. Politically appropriate. What will happen? These are many questions which have to be answered going forward. Yes.
However, Mr. Wilkinson believes conjugal visits could be beneficial to prisoners if it's carefully implemented. A point supported by another guest on the program, business consultant Chris Stokes, who believes such visits would help prisoners to alleviate stress. Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
In news overseas, electoral officials in Venezuela say the turnout in the controversial election for a constituent assembly was 41.5%, a figure disputed by the opposition. The opposition coalition said 88% of voters abstained and it refused to recognize the election. It also called for more protests today. Sunday's election was marred by violence with widespread protests and at least 10 people were killed. We go to the CNN for more.
A major explosion on the streets of Venezuela Sunday. Protesters attacked National Guardsmen as the troops were guarding voting stations for the country's controversial election. One officer set ablaze by the blast. Government officials say more than 8 million people voted. President Nicolas Maduro now has the right to remove the country's legislative body and replace it with a new institution able to rewrite its constitution.
The first vote for peace. The first vote for the independence and sovereignty of Venezuela. And the first vote for the future tranquility of Venezuela.
But there's been little peace or tranquility in Venezuela over the past few months. The Venezuelan Attorney General's office says at least 125 people were killed during the unrest over the past few months. Many nations, including the U.S., have condemned Venezuela's election. Two White House officials say President Trump may announce sanctions against the country, possibly as soon as Monday. In a recent statement, Mr. Trump said the United States will not stand by as Venezuela crumbles. U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley called the Venezuelan election another step toward dictatorship. Residents, meanwhile, hope for the best.
I continue here in Venezuela because I love my country. It's for me, the best country here.
And in sports, Jamaica's female volleyballers are through to the final of the Caribbean Women's Volleyball Championship after defeating Guadeloupe in straight sets in their semi-final at the National Indoor Sports Centre last evening. The girls produced one of their best performances of the tournament so far to come away 25-18, 25-12, 25-19 winners. They will meet reigning champions Trinidad and Tobago in tonight's final at 8 o'clock. Trinidad and Tobago had to work for a 3-1 victory over Suriname in the second semi-final. Great stuff. And that's the Midday News. I'm Milton Walker. Join us at 7 for Primetime News on behalf of our news, sports and production teams. Good afternoon.